Okay, let's dive right into this. How on earth, as a failing, honestly kind of forgotten tower defense game, pivots so hard and so fast that it literally becomes a massive cultural engine? Today in this explainer, we're unpacking a genuinely incredible piece of modern entertainment history. We're looking at a digital space that didn't just change gaming, but completely redefined how we interact, how we consume media, and really, how we play.
7 years. I mean, just think about that for a second. That is how long the legendary studio Epic Games spent developing a quirky little tower defense game called Save the World. But by 2017, the tension over there was palpable because, frankly, nobody was playing it. Epic was sitting on what looked like an absolute disaster. They were on the very edge of releasing a multi-million-dollar flop that could have seriously damaged the whole studio. They needed a miracle, and they needed it fast because the gaming landscape around them was just exploding.
At that exact moment, the gaming world was absolutely obsessed with survival. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or PUBG, was the undisputed king. It was a gritty, hardcore military simulation with a $60 price tag. So when Epic released Fortnite Battle Royale in September 2017, critics instantly wrote it off. They called it just another cheap PUBG clone. But man, they were dead wrong. Epic exploited this massive market gap by going entirely in the other direction. They made their game bright, vibrant, and crucially, totally free.
Now, what makes this pivot legendary, like truly historic, is that it happened in just 90 days. An incredible, frantic 90-day sprint. In that tiny window of time, Epic didn't just slap a new game mode onto a failing title. They built a foundation of a platform that would eventually convince grandmas everywhere to learn what an in-game chug jug is. The sheer speed of this execution is studied in tech circles today, simply because it completely flipped the entertainment industry on its head.
To pull off that crazy 90-day pivot, Epic deployed 3 secret weapons that their competitors completely lacked. First up, accessibility. By going free-to-play in an era where a $60 entry fee was the absolute standard, they dropped the barrier to entry to 0. It was a nuclear option. Second, the art style. By choosing this Pixar-esque look over gritty realism, the game could run smoothly on almost any cheap laptop, and more importantly, it was incredibly parent-friendly. And third, well, the absolute genius of the building mechanic. This right here was the ultimate paradigm shift. In literally any other shooter on the market, if you get caught out in the open, you are dead. End of story. But in Fortnite, you don't find cover, you become the cover. This completely flipped the script on competitive gameplay. It meant that a player's survival wasn't just about who could pull the trigger the fastest, but who could think and construct the fastest. It created this skill ceiling that was entirely unique to their world. So by early 2018, the momentum was becoming this unstoppable cultural tsunami, and it really peaked on March 14, 2018. If you were there, you probably remember it. Over 600,000 people tuned in live on Twitch. Why? Because a former Halo pro named Ninja was streaming, and he wasn't alone. He teamed up with global megastar Drake, rapper Travis Scott, and NFL player Juju Smith-Schuster. This was the exact night the Fortnite fever went from a localized gaming pandemic to a total global reset.
Suddenly, this wasn't just a game for nerds in their bedrooms. It was a global obsession. You literally couldn't escape it. The Take the L dance went absolutely worldwide. Professional soccer players were out there doing Fortnite dances on the world stage. Antoine Griezmann was doing it. Dele Alli was doing it at the World Cup. The lines between digital gaming culture and mainstream pop culture just completely dissolved.
But here's the real trick. How do you sustain that hype? How do you keep millions of players from getting bored once the initial novelty wears off? Well, Epic solved it by inventing the live event. For weeks, millions of players spent their time just staring at a tiny blue dot in the virtual sky. It wasn't some boring patch note on a developer blog. It was a mystery unfolding in real time. The meteor grew closer, and eventually it smashed right into the map and destroyed Dusty Depot. This proved the map wasn't just static code. It was a living, breathing, evolving world that changed whether you were ready for it or not.
So while competitors were hyper-focused on tweaking weapon stats and balancing damage numbers, Epic was playing 4D chess. They were looking 10 years into the future. They realized Fortnite wasn't just a shooter anymore. It was becoming a social square. Long before the word metaverse became a tired corporate buzzword, Epic was actually laying the blueprint for it. They understood that this was a digital space where collaboration and shared experiences were starting to matter way more than simply getting a victory royale.
And this realization birthed the era of the ultimate digital toy box. Marvel, the DC Universe, Star Wars, John Wick. Epic turned their game into a space where intellectual properties that would never, ever cross paths in the real world could collide seamlessly. It created this totally surreal environment where Batman could be fighting a stormtrooper while the Master Chief from Halo just drives by in a Ferrari. It was unprecedented licensing magic.
And the sheer scale of this platform, it is staggering. In 2019, the DJ Marshmello threw a concert inside the game and 10 million people showed up. The next year, in 2020, Travis Scott held his astronomical event, pulling in 12.3 million attendees. And to be clear, this wasn't just watching a video screen inside a video game. It was a deeply psychedelic experience where a giant celestial rapper stomped through the ocean while millions of players actually floated around him in zero gravity. Fortnite had quietly become the biggest, most interactive concert venue on planet Earth.
But as with all great empires, a decline is almost inevitable, right? By the time we reached Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, the game was facing a real crisis. People were calling the experience bloated. The building mechanics, which were once the game's greatest innovation, had been mastered to such an extreme degree by veteran players, the sweats, that the game became entirely inaccessible. New players, or even casuals returning after a break, simply couldn't keep up with opponents who could build a 5-story fortress in 3 seconds flat.
Faced with an aging player base and seriously alienating mechanics, Epic executed the ultimate pivot, zero build. In a move that absolutely shocked the industry, Epic saved the game by temporarily, and then permanently, removing the very mechanic that made them famous in the first place. By stripping away the building, they brought back millions of older gamers who had left because they just wanted to shoot, move, and have fun without needing a master's degree in architectural engineering. This massive pivot stabilized the game and ushered in what we can call the Evo era. Fortnite transitioned from being merely a game to becoming a fully fledged engine and platform. Through UEFN, that's the Unreal Editor for Fortnite, Epic essentially handed the keys to the kingdom directly to the players. They gave users professional-grade development tools to create their own complex, wildly different digital worlds right inside the Fortnite ecosystem.
Because of this, what you boot up today isn't just a battle royale. You can load into highly polished racing games, incredibly deep LEGO survival crafting worlds, and high-energy rhythm games. This platform evolution allows users to experience entirely different genres of entertainment without ever leaving a single app. It's moved way beyond competing with just other shooters. It is now actively rivaling absolute giants like Roblox and even YouTube for our daily screen time and attention.
So why does all of this matter? What's the core takeaway from this explainer? Well, Epic succeeded on a historical level because they realized something fundamental about the 21st century, which was especially highlighted during the global pandemic. People didn't just want a place to play, they wanted a place to belong. Fortnite successfully became the third place. Outside of your home and outside of your work or school, it became the sociological space where an entire generation gathered to hang out, share experiences, and connect. It completely redefined what a digital space can actually be. It's where music premiered, where movies were teased, and where millions of friendships were maintained when the physical world was locked down. Whether you are a pro-level builder or someone who hasn't touched a controller in years, the world-changing impact of this masterpiece is undeniable. There will likely never be another phenomenon quite like it. So, before the concerts, before all the Marvel crossovers, back when it was just a strange new island, what was your OG landing spot? Think about it.